So I guess we can start with, so I printed this out. This is the perspective budget or whatever. And I guess it's not a challenge. I mean, I've gotten used to working with Vernon and everybody about how like my fiscal follows the state's fiscal and it's different than the county. So sometimes when I have budget changes or budget amendments at the state level, they don't always get reflected in Custer's changes or budgets.
Is that because of the fiscal year problem, or
Yes.
because?
Yes. So like, for example, if you were to look at 2025 current actual for one of my, actually, I can pull that back up.
Yeah.
So all Vernon would know is what your input is for what you actually spend. It wouldn't matter what the state does. Except you've got to balance them eventually to each other. But
Right.
you got to see everything that you have spent.
Yes, but my point is that under, so if you look at the line item that says grant LCO, which is kind of in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is 2026, right, Vernon?
So the final column, the final column is 2026.
So 2025 current actual 44,915 is wrong. It should be 49,822.
Okay.
So I don't know how important it is from the audit
something was
standpoint.
coded incorrectly someplace?
No, I got a budget amendment, but I don't think it ever got I know I told the department and said my budget changed. We had budget amendments at the end of 2020, at the end of the calendar year 2024, but it never got a budget amendment on the county's books.
Oh, into 2025.
Into 2025.
Okay.
So again, I don't know how important that is.
Let's look at what you think came in 25.
I can make that budget for grant revenue. The grant revenue in the budget is really an estimate.
Sure.
It's what we could reasonably expect.
Right.
A lot of times it's under, sometimes it's more. So if you would need me to change that, I can definitely change that.
It doesn't, I guess I'm thinking more on like when the auditors come and say, like the information that I turn into them, it's gonna say that line item for LCO should have been 40, or on my copies would be 49,822. I guess, and that's a good point to have a conversation, and you and I have had this about, these numbers are not necessarily estimates, these are actual for me. This is what the state is saying I'm going to get. Nothing less, nothing more. I have up to $49,822 in, quote, 2026 to spend under LCO.
See, they give you all of it at the front of the year, so it's not an estimate, is what you're saying.
They don't give it to me, they say this is what you are.
That's right, well, they're allocating it to you, so that's.
They're allocating it, it's a reimbursement, but yes, they're allocating.
But they've already set that aside, so you know you can spend up to that.
So as you see here on the year to date, you've received 48,737, which is more than we expected to receive. So I guess we need to have a policy discussion then. If you want, we've never really been too concerned about the exact numbers, budgeting the exact numbers for revenue, because like I said, sometimes the state changes their mind. Sometimes they don't give us everything. I mean, we see that happen a lot up here and over at the sheriff's office. So if you need me to make a budget amendment for a revenue line, we can do that. I need to, it will be a BA that goes in front of the commissioners.
Sure.
But really this number right here is the important number for the auditors. Did you bring in as much or more than was budgeted for expenses? Right.
So, and and I think I agree with policy, because that, when you say year to date is half of, for 2025 is 2 fiscal years for me.
Right. Yeah. Year to date is a different.
My year to date is.
Right, we understand.
Right, so you're gonna have additional funds.
But not on this report.
See, he only sees what is actually given to him.
Yeah, in a fiscal year, in our fiscal year.
Right, which is going to be 2 fiscal years of mine.
Well,
It's
that's,
gonna,
Yeah.
it's gonna cover
Half of one of yours and half of
That's
half of
right.
one and half of
Yeah.
another. So it's gonna be 1 year, half of one, half of another, right?
It's one calendar year, it's one fiscal year for the county. It's comprised of 2 fiscal years for me.
Well,
We
half
understand.
of one.
Half of one,
right,
half of the
right,
other.
And that's
right.
But what Vernon's saying is on the when we care about rectifying our books is at the end of our calendar year,
Sure.
30 December. He knows what we actually have collected. The auditors care about what we project. In fact, when they do the audit, we're still projecting out to the end of the year. But on the 30th of December, he could pull up and say, in Stacy's account, what actually was given to the county that we were tracking is X.
in both.
That X is
2 fiscal year.
a part of your fiscal year. But
Right.
that X is real. It's real money that he has gotten from the state. And then what we care about is you're projecting the rest of your fiscal year out to July.
Right,
And then you're gonna project the rest of it out on the rest of the calendar year for us. But we don't care if you hit those numbers. We care about is what goes in and what goes out, and then we rectify that at the end of the calendar year. And so, I don't know, she thinks you didn't put in the money that she got for December that year. So let's see where the discrepancy is in her, just on how she recognizes it.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack here. Let me shift gears here just a little bit. We can have a policy discussion about changing revenue lines, and I totally open to that. And it's not a big deal. In December, there's gonna be a lot of budget amendments anyway, so we can make any adjustments in that regard. I had a long conversation with the auditors about calendar year versus state fiscal years and stuff like that.
right.
They love your books, and they said, don't change. They love your books and don't change. They look at our revenues and expenses, and then they use your books, your spreadsheets that you create to reconcile certain things for their audit report. I understand that it gets really complicated because you go from a July to a June. And this is how they explained it to me, because we have 2 other departments that do the same thing.
Right,
Well, technically 3. When we make our budget this time of year, we basically estimate if you have $1,000 on a July, or if you have $100,000 on a July to June, technically you're gonna have $50,000 in the next calendar year. You'll have $50,000. And then you're gonna estimate
right,
the rest of our calendar year, $50,000, or whatever. Maybe they're communicative with you a little bit better. Other departments, they find out, hey, we're renewing you, and they find out in June, and you
yeah.
know.
I
before
generally
July.
will find out
Okay.
in February,
Okay,
There you go.
yeah,
so this comes down to the monitoring aspect, and I know
Right.
that you guys have all heard this before, but I'm gonna say it again. This comes down to the monitoring. If you get into February or March and you're told, hey, you're not gonna get this grant. So say worst case scenario, we're not gonna get this grant. You know that you have funding through June.
correct,
And then we've got a couple of options. We can say, all right, we can amend the budget and say, we're going to exclude LCO, all expenses for LCO from the budget. We can do a budget amendment and change it here.
right,
We can monitor it and say, okay, maybe they're gonna give it, maybe they will decide in June to actually give it to us. We'll leave it there. But regardless, if we don't get it, we're not gonna spend it.
right,
That comes down to Your responsibility, and I'm not using that in an accusational state, your
No,
level of
I'm not taking it
responsibility,
away.
you
No,
are very,
right.
very responsible.
Yes,
You are
yeah.
very, very responsible, and you know exactly how much money, so that monitoring aspect, other people may not be, and so we have to monitor
Right.
that level as well. So it comes down to that monitoring. You know, or you expect that this money's gonna be there, then let's just keep moving. If you know or expect that it's not gonna be there, I'm gonna stop funding.
Right.
And if we need to, we can adjust the budget.
That makes sense to me, and, yes, you know that I, just because I get other type of desk audits and stuff from the state and things like that.
So circling back to these numbers right here, you see year-to-date, and you've received 48,000, whereas you expected to receive 44, and that of course changed.
Can I ask a
I'd
question
say,
real quick?
yes, ma'am.
The year-to-date, the 48,737, you're saying that is for LCO, that is from January 1 of 2025 to
To 10 minutes ago.
10, okay.
Yep.
Okay, that's.
That's real money.
Yes,
Yeah.
right, which
Seems pretty accurate?
seems pretty accurate. We have, what, 2 months left?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I could go, I mean, and I know it's not gonna be, on a penny. But that I'm processing my brain, yeah, okay.
I'd say that 95 to 98% of the grants that I watch for the whole county come in at different numbers than what they've actually said we're gonna get. I had to sit down with the sheriff's office and said, hey, look, you guys have budgeted $27,000 worth of this revenue, but you've never gotten more than 23. So can we adjust that in the budget and say, accurately, we're only gonna get 23 rather than the 27,000? We identified, like somebody was inflating numbers. You've identified that you're gonna get 67,000, but the reality is you've only got 64.5. You've never gotten more than that.
Right.
Oh my gosh, the contract said 64.5, not 67, so maybe we should adjust those numbers. So these are, in the words of our auditors and accountants, the budget is an estimation.
Right.
Your numbers that you get from the state, your spreadsheets, help to kind of demystify that a little bit. So does any of that help?
Yeah, that helps me a lot. And
Okay.
again, I mean, I think you and I understand a lot of this. But to date, the Department of Early Childhood has been fairly like the number, do you want to go back to 2026? Yeah. The 49,822. I know, like they historically have not come back and said, like in February, oh, sorry, you're only going to get 45. Like it's my due diligence to spend up to $49,822. So just for our department, I guess is kind of what I'm saying.
Another way to look at it would be is you think you're safe to spend that, and you don't have to spend it.
No.
You can keep it. If you,
Well, it doesn't roll over.
No, I didn't say it did.
Okay.
I based, you're gonna get it by the end of February, but you know that if you can, I don't know, how do you spend it? You can't spend it, methodically unless you have a process set up to do that. It's your rent, cost act, whatever it is. Or you, spend it slower or faster, but you know you can only spend that amount that.
Correct. Correct. And the way they have us do our budgets, we have to,
Sure.
it's a big picture.
So, and all he sees is what you've got.
Correct.
And
Right.
does not what you spend. It doesn't matter when you spend.
No, so I guess part of this conversation, I just want to make sure, and I'm happy to work with you on that, Vernon, is like the policies on income.
Okay.
For anyone that follows the state calendar that come like February, January, when we know what our budget, and then the governor's budget is going to be released Monday.
Okay.
For next year. Then they'll go back and do all that, but come February, because we have to turn in they'll say, here's your numbers, here's these numbers for the different grants there listed. and turn in your budget. They usually give us like 2 weeks, turn around, like, here's your amount, we want your budget in 2 weeks for that fiscal year. The second kind of conversation I want to have, and it's, nothing can be done now, is, and that's why I gave you guys this sheet.
Before you do
We'll-
that,
yeah.
so in your example, then all Vernon would do, whenever that budget's released, is just redo the numbers you're
Yes.
projecting, just like we do ours, when we
Right.
know what we're actually getting, we have to we can't pretend we're gonna get it and spend it.
Right.
Or
And to
not
his,
get it and not spend it.
right, and to his point, it would be an adjustment for the second half of this calendar year for the
Right,
county.
he would do
Right.
that.
Right, from a revenue standpoint.
And he
Is
can do
what
it by
you're saying.
however we want
Yes.
to track it, so we
Right,
know we did it.
right.
By a resolution or a memo or whatever you're gonna do it to re-spread it, because you gotta change that.
Yeah, if I have to change the numbers after the budget is approved, I will do it in a budget. I think
Right.
doing it in a budget amendment is probably the best way to do it.
Right, and then my question, more for this was, just because I hear and I listen, and I think I do a pretty good job of keeping my, books, but just, the naysayers out there that want to come in and have optics and see that those numbers on the counties, don't match what I got from the state. That was one of the big.
That's perfect, because that's why we do the resolution, that's a record.
Right,
There's nobody saying, oh, I'll get to that, and it's a little memo and
Right.
it's sticky.
right.
And
Right.
That's what happened to
So
us in the past.
I'm just conscientious of that, as I know Vernon is and
Okay.
stuff, so thank you, yeah. The other part is, I wanna start having these conversations, I guess, now, and working conversations going forward. Because we keep referencing the LCO. So the LCO grant contract that we get, currently right now, it is for our Early Childhood Council, we're going to get 49,822 for July 1 through June 30th of my current fiscal year.
What's LCO stand for?
A local coordinating organization, and that's specific to universal preschool work.
So the
Which they're-
coordinating organization would be you.
Yes, it's the Early Childhood Council. It's very confusing in other counties, because basically in the urban counties, they chose to have it be a separate entity than the Early Childhood Council, and it's caused a lot of headaches. But thankfully, not for us.
Okay, and you know who the council is, and the state knows who that is.
Yes.
Okay.
Custer County Kids Council is the Early Childhood Council for Custer County, as well as the local coordinating organization. They're at the state level, not that you guys shouldn't be paying attention to this, but I do keep Lucas up to date on what's relevant to that could come down and affect us here locally. They are talking about that the state legislators, the Joint Budget Committee specifically, is a lot of this duplicative work. They're looking at that at the state level. But that brings me to my point, and right now, for LCO work and those budgets that went to, I think it's 32 LCOs, the state allocated, I think it was like $4.5 million. Right now, they are estimating that next year it will be 2.3. So they're cutting it in half.
So that's going in half.
Most likely, like I said, I will know here in the next couple of months, so the
And
conversation,
That is next year,
it would be July
through-
1st of 2026 through June 30th.
So you're good for half of 50,000 right now,
Yes, through
through
so
July.
the conversations that I want to have with the county is, we are considered the local department of early childhood for the community, just like public health. It's just been a flow through. So at what point can the county start supporting locally, fiscally, the work that the Early Childhood Council does? I know that, some of the other departments that get quite a bit of funding from the state, I should say, that there is some funding that comes locally speaking. I just threw out some on this sheet, but Vernon, you don't have, did I give this? Vernon, did you
No, I
get a
don't.
copy of this? You can get that to him another one. I just kind of threw out some examples of, right now, I do my due diligence about looking at other funding, but when I say looking at other funding, it's actually for work and projects. So for example, the DOLA grant, Bill, I don't know if you heard, we got awarded that grant.
I did.
That is not like going to pay my salary. That is strictly to do the project, do the work.
I get it.
So I will continue to do my due diligence on looking at other funding opportunities like that. But right now, Custer County Kids Council is 82% state funded and 18% funded by philanthropic or donations. That's a pretty high number to be solely funded at an 82% funded by the state. So I just wanted to have conversations about what it could look like for the county to start supporting the Early Childhood Council and the local coordinating organization, because we are the same entity, and what that could look like. I just kind of gave examples, like right now where my rent and then just other different things that all departments pay for and they budget, but some of it is supported from the county in different ways. I've had some people that don't necessarily understand and say, well, for example, like the LCO work or the the preschool work, property taxes go to the school district. That is specific to K through 12. That cannot go to supporting the preschool and or the early childhood center. Legally, that cannot. So that is not true. Like, property taxes don't support the work of what the Early Childhood Council does.
Right.
So those are just
Unfortunately, everybody
conversations.
thinks property taxes fund everything.
Exactly.
They don't realize that it
Right.
barely funds anything.
Right. So I just wanted to start having those conversations now, because I from what we are hearing, we need to anticipate, we meaning the local coordinating organizations and the early childhood councils, that our budgets are going to be cut.
So how many people are you funding for?
Right now, I'm full-time, and you can see on there's a 0.33 employee.
So in fact, public health, human services are the same issues. If the money doesn't come, people lose their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the hard thing that you have to put in. Also, the part of the difference is public health is a statutory position that has to be funded, so that by the county. So that was directed, and so that all the counties could be the same. That's why they set it up that way. In the past, each county had a different way of doing public health, and so they wanted to make it homogeneous and make sure all the services got to everybody, even when they couldn't afford it. And that's why the grants came out. Unfortunately, when grants come out, grants go away.
Right.
So people hire people, and then they have to fire them.
Oh, yeah.
And but you're in a little bit different thing, because you don't have a position that's funded yet. And in order to get it funded, then we would have to pass a resolution, say we're going to do it. And then when we do that, then we can establish that. But then the first place we're going to look, if things are getting tough, the main services are safety, meaning sheriff, communication, and the roads. If everything else kept drying up, we start pulling back on all the other things, affordable housing or whatever other nice to have, good to haves could come up. So you got to be careful, and we got to and you're doing a great job. And I know the state doesn't want to give up on this.
No.
They're not. And so you're going to have to look at, okay, so in the end, they think they're going to fund a half a position in the future. How do you get the other half funded?
Right.
For you.
Right.
And then you're going to have to give up on the other peripheral help, and more volunteers come, just like they do everywhere else.
Right. Which
This county,
I have.
we couldn't exist without volunteer help.
Oh, absolutely. And I guess the community at a whole maybe doesn't realize, like, I did do that. And I saw to your point, Bill, I saw the writing on the wall where we had a lot of ARPA funding. And so, and
that was great, but it got.
right. And so that we had part-time employees, it was just coincidental. But I saw the writing on the wall that 2 of those part-time employees that were working for the council left on their own.
Yeah.
I never replaced them. I just took on their work.
Take on the work.
So I've already gotten very good and used to that. I guess I don't want to argue. I guess I would say, and it has to do with educating the community about some of the work that early childhood councils do is a necessary infrastructure piece for our community.
You did a
to
good
function.
job with that thing you took around or looked
Right.
at.
So, and it's not you guys, I just.
Not I mean
the
us, I
community
mean the
and-
county.
Right, to educate them,
have-
look,
people have
I
to
mean,
know.
I tell the story that, well, I don't need childcare. You're right, you don't need childcare, but you know somebody or you're dependent on somebody that does.
Well,
Anyway,
in the
that's not,
end-
it's not
in
the point of
end,
this
Everybody's gotta be taken care of, and those kids that you're not bringing up to do it are gonna be leaving, so who's gonna be here?
Right, so it's, I mean, I'm not, this is not for your ears, but I guess I just wanted to highlight that, just that I would like to start those conversations. I am being, doing my due diligence on trying to think long-term and what's gonna happen and.
Well, so what you're gonna have to do then, and this is how I would view it, is you're gonna have to tighten the belt and say, okay, here's what I can't do service-wise with a half a budget. You're still have to work, you're gonna take full-time pay, but in order to pay you with that, with a half-time budget, what aren't you gonna do for the community? Then you gotta get that possibility out to say, okay, see what we'll lose if we don't do it, look what we've gained, what the value was of that being funded. And then that way you get to be competitive again against other priorities the county has, or what the people perceive or should be our priority.
Right. Which, again, I have been doing that. We don't do a lot of direct services. That is not the role of the council. So I am already pretty thin, I guess. I don't know if that's the
But
right
what
word.
if the council went away? What would happen? Point that out. What would happen? Are we gonna still get these grants? Who's gonna be getting them? How do they get spent? What do they been
That's a
spent on?
great question to
See?
pose to the community.
And the
Right.
preschool goes away.
If preschools will, so what? They say, all those people out there. So what happens if the preschool goes? Because, well, and everybody looks, well, we gotta get full-time school. Maybe the school's our babysitter,
Oh, that's
And
very
the way
much
they
the
look
mindset.
at it,
Absolutely,
unfortunately.
absolutely.
And-
Well, and they did, I mean, again, getting off track, but like the whole point, like the reason why that center opened was when the school went to
Yeah.
remote learning during COVID because 2 home providers had to close.
Yeah.
And then all school-age kids had no
Couldn't go anywhere,
childcare.
couldn't make money.
Exactly, so I thank you, Bill, and I have been doing that, I'm very conscious about that. Lucas knows this, I have conversations with him about this all the time, but, I mean, truth be told, I mean, it could very well be where I end up having to go part-time, which would have a direct impact, but that is a reality, that
Well,
is.
not necessarily, if you can get, like I'm saying, if you can fund yourself with half of it, and you're getting these other grants to grow,
Sure.
to compensate for the difference, there's gotta be a way of doing it.
Right.
That's how we
absolutely.
work public health, otherwise we wouldn't be in business.
I guess I would just, thank you, yeah, I'm looking at that, but if there was any way, even if it was, let's say, like, rent, or is there a space in that,
Sure.
that we could move in, and then
Don't
there's
have to pay.
rent's
Right.
not
Right.
a line item. But just, I wanted to start those kind of conversations now, because I feel like, I know those conversations we're gonna be getting that information from the state, and what can we do to be fiscally responsible, but also maximize what we can.
Yeah, it's too bad you're on the state's on the mid-year like that, because the economy's gonna change, it's gonna get better, it is right now. And it's just gotta get better quicker so that the grants can be funded, that's the whole problem.
Well, yeah, they'll lag.
Right now, there's a lag. And it's too bad that they're cutting it, because that cut's gonna stay, it's not gonna go away for that half a year, for sure, until the next year, they get another projection. Unless there's some big shakeup at the state level, but there won't be until the election's over.
Correct, and just more like FYA for you, we'll be having a new governor, we have a governor that's
Yeah.
turned out.
Yeah.
Which means
So
we
that
will be
means-
having a new director of the Department of Early Childhood. because
Yeah,
that's
everything,
nothing-
all
yeah,
priorities are
all
gonna change, every
Exactly, so,
You only have 6 months of limbo there, but it's gonna
Right.
be cash.
regardless of, I will say this, regardless of what people may or may think about Governor Polis, he has supported early childhood and education, and the department, while and just so you know, Lucas knows this too, I'm thoughtful, I am grateful for the support that the Department of Early Childhood gives us, but we are very loud, and the locals are very loud that they're asking us to do all of these cuts when they're not doing it within
They're
their
not
own
doing it.
department, and we have groups that are very loud in the appropriate way to point that out to the Joint Budget Committee as well. There was a bill, Lucas is aware of this, that was possibly, or was introduced back in January of 2025, that would have possibly gotten rid of LCOs altogether in the funding, and it didn't pass. Actually, she withdrew it, but we do agree that things can be done fiscally better at the state level, and we've given suggestions locally. But I'm just sharing that with you, just so you know that we know we have to be fiscally responsible and are asking them to do the same thing.
Okay, Vernon can hardly wait to make a point.
No, I'm asking questions, I'm gathering data points. Where do you pay your rent out of? Is that out of operations? Operating?
No, I had a line item that was rent.
Under what grant?
I didn't
it
see
paid
that.
up?
So I actually, I paid, because I could do that, I paid my rent, I paid my year upfront,
Okay,
And
Out of what?
regular annual.
out of rent and general operating,
Which comes from which grant?
all of them. I have to spread it across all of
Okay.
them.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, that's
Is it
another thing
even-
from
Is that
like,
an even spread?
I'm just wondering which line item in the budget it comes from. I understand you have your own rent line item, but I don't.
oh, then
see
it would be,
in-
there is no rent line item on the
Okay.
account, it's operating expenses.
All right,
It is,
My question is this 900 there, is it separate?
So I put that on there, I mean, I have to, I pay for, I don't have a county laptop, I have, all this is, I pay for it, I pay for all of the software. I have to budget that CIC $900 accounting fee. Is that something that the county could cover?
But they're separate, they're not added, 900 not added into
No.
3, okay.
No, well, I have $3,493 in general operating expenses for my fiscal year. That $900 has to come from that,
Oh, okay, that's what I mean. It's-
yes.
This is just your way of booking that, you said.
Right,
I'm paying
I
this
just put
out.
that off as an example of, is that something the county could
It does
cover
come out
for?
there.
But I have, if you don't, that's fine, I have to, the 900 will come out of that 3,400. That's just one example.
And the 3,400 came from,
Across my grants.
is
Systems
there a
building.
limit that you can spread it across the
So you
grants?
pull certain-
How do you decide? Is it 1%, 5%? Is it even across all the
It's,
grants?
no, it's not even,
Is it like percentage out of each
it's
one?
percent, I have,
Is there a limit that by their regulation, you can't spend it on rent for X
No.
amount?
no, so how my budget works is that I get a total dollar amount for each grant. Within that grant, I can divide up how much I want salary, how much I want operating, how much I want rent.
Okay.
As long as it doesn't go over, for example, for systems building, it is $33,679.
Question, if one of the grants goes away, can you up those rental fees into those
Other
other
grant
grants?
areas?
Yes,
Because that's flexibility
Just-
that you have.
right, and so the systems building, I have 4 grants, systems building, CSQI,
Okay.
Navigator. There's 4 grants, systems building, CSQI.
So we don't
No, I'm
see all,
sorry,
the we don't see all the grants here,
We don't-
or you didn't list them.
I
No,
just
they're
wondered if
all
it was
on
that
there.
flexible.
No, they
Where
are
to
all
see-
on there.
where- I didn't see systems building.
SB, sorry.
Oh, I see that, I saw SB, but.
So SB, CSQI,
And Navigator?
and Navigator
Navigator, oh,
is
down there.
down there,
Okay, see, it.
are
Okay, got it.
funding for the early childhood council work, as well as the GAE, which should be, Jen and I have learned that there are, GAE is an acronym that's used across different departments, so I think maybe we should change that to coaching. Anyway, those 3 grants are for the early childhood council
Right.
work, and the contract that you signed, Bill, as the early childhood council. LCO is a different contract that is universal preschool.
What I'm curious about is, how each of these come from an organization somewhere at the state level, wanting to focus on something, and they wanna monitor it, say, well, if I give it to Stacy, she's gotta put some
Scope of
energy
work.
in on something that's important to them.
So in the
She can't
contract,
just
yes.
have the flexibility to
No.
go spend it on everybody else's grant, because otherwise it's just one big, huge grant.
So in the contract that you sign, attached to it is my scope of work.
Yeah.
And it talks about every single one of those
Yeah,
grants,
okay.
as well as the
But a
budget.
lot of them have, so a lot of them are, the similarity is you can spend it on rent on all of them, apparently. You can spend it, they don't care if you have, they know you have to have a building to live in. And there'll be other general things like that.
Yes, so
Utilities.
the Department of Early Childhood gives each respective council some pretty good autonomy, like this is the budget template that I get. And they give me a total. I have the autonomy and the flexibility to spread that total amongst the different
All
sections
these
of the
kind of
budget,
grants, yeah.
within each of those grants. Yes.
So there's some local control.
There is some
Which is
local,
great.
here's the amount, here's the total, here's local control on what you see as best.
As long
or
as you
easy.
meet my mission that I focused on.
As long as you
Vision
meet
in this SB
This,
area.
yeah, it's the scope of work is the term they use, as long as you're meeting the scope of work, which I actually also write. So we do have a lot of local control over, because the work that I need to do is different than the work done in Pueblo or Fremont County
That's
or
just-
Denver.
Demographics.
Correct.
The donations down here, does that come from what Mountain Valley Foundation?
So the donations came from, we have randomly gotten some donations that came to the county. So Vernon and Virginia created a line item for that, as well as, there was and actually we need to talk about that. We got they called it a stipend, but it was work, to do on possibly expanding and bringing early Head Start or Head Start to Custer County, and they gave us $5,000 to do work, and they said you can use this $5,000 how you want to do the work. We put it in that line item as well, because it was separate from the states. So on that note, I have to turn in I gotta get just the account number for the DOLA grant. Vernon, we have $20,000 that is coming. So I would imagine it's gonna hit the books like this in 2025. We need to create probably a new
Okay.
revenue line and an expense line for that.
Do you know what the name of that is?
It's the DOLA Local Government Child Care Planning Grant. If you wanna, I think the county gets a lot of DOLA grants, so maybe we need to be more
You better
specific
be more
than just
specific.
DOLA.
'Cause
Well,
DOLA's
yeah.
all over them.
I don't put things in as DOLA. I usually
Okay.
create a better naming convention than that.
But did I answer your question, Lucas, about the?
Yeah.
And then that one also is, and that's why I get with Vernon, to do that, is if we do get donations or we get funding that has big autonomy on how we can utilize that, it needs to be separate than systems, buildings, CSQI, all of those, because,
Do you ever get donations from individuals? Okay.
we do,
Is that
at
the
most,
same line?
well, here's the catch, if somebody, because I've learned this from Virginia, if somebody gives a donation and they write a check or something and it says Custer County Kids Council, she has a hard time depositing it with the bank.
Because
It doesn't say Custer
treasurer.
County.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing is taking those, unless we can do that, I take those to, we have a fund under the Spirit Camp, like with the Wet Mountain Valley Foundation, and we have a little bit of funding over there. That's what did the match.
But there ought to be an easy way to have people say, I want to give the kids council this. Okay, so you write a check to Custer County for.
Right,
Well,
and I have started
And in
educating
the
people
four line or
that way.
something, so that
I'm gonna say
you
down.
still
the
get
bottom, they-
Virginia will
kids
accept it.
council.
Yeah. So I've started educating more people
Okay.
when they
Just saying.
ask me about that.
It's like a church donation. If
Right.
you don't tell them what they want it for, they'll spend it on candles instead of something
Right.
else.
The thing about, and
Holy
it's, I appreciate donations. If they donate, because we have a tax credit with the community
Yeah.
foundation, that if they donate it through there, they get, it's
You-
up to
when you
50%
donate to
on
the
it.
county, you get the same tax credit.
Yeah.
they can do up to 50% on their income tax.
Be more than that, and donate whatever it's a
Whatever.
donation. That's up to their bookkeeper
Right,
to decide, but it's a tax, it is a donation, and they get a tax
tax
certificate
deductible.
with an ID number.
Right.
and we'll get it.
It would be tagged on the bottom, kids council, and on top it'd be treasurer.
Right, which I have started
Yeah.
to do that so that it
And then we can
can.
give at the end of the year, you get a statement that says you donated X dollars. Your donations were, include stuff they gave the county, just like they do for churches donating for that or anything else.
Right. Yes, Bernie?
Can I ask some nuts and bolts questions?
Sure.
And I apologize that I don't know this already. When you pay rent, what are you paying rent for?
What am I paying rent for my office?
Yeah, where's your office?
In the wellness center,
Okay.
across the street from the,
That's
All right.
on the right.
You don't bring people, that's where you work? Okay,
but it's also a space that that other, because we're a collaborative, that's
Okay.
the role of the council, so if, like, public health has, or we have some, early childhood mental health specialists, they can utilize our space as well.
I get that, okay.
Also,
I'm just gathering data points, because
Sure.
you talked about wanting the county to pick up in the eventuality
Sure.
that these things change. I'm just trying to gather some data points so that we can start creating a strategic plan.
Right.
Because I noticed that the county is funding about $21,000. It's not entirely a pass-through, the county is funding $21,000 of your $160,000 budget. So I'm just looking at different ways that we can start maybe putting a plan together. Okay?
Yeah.
So rental space, having an office space is something that you need in order to function. And CIC accounting fee is $900. I think it's about $900. How many invoices do you do a month?
It varies, 6, 12, 3, 24.
Okay. Because we could probably cut that out right now by having you send your invoices to Kristen and having her enter them for you, based off of your coding, if you wanted to do that. I'm just
Right,
throwing it
it's an
out
option,
there.
yeah.
It's just data points right now.
Sure.
Office space, we're looking at some strategic plans for that type of thing. $3,400 for general operations, office supplies, software, that's not bad for a department, but if we want to, we can sit down and figure out how we can help fund that from county stuff, if that's what you'd like to do. So I think that we could create a strategic plan to start making up any shortfalls that you're anticipating. Just gonna throw it out there.
Yeah,
Like I said, I'm just gathering data
Yes,
points.
thank
so
you.
something else you can
Thank
do is volunteers can get a tax, right, they get a sheet too that says they've donated X hours, it was worth X dollars, and they can deduct that too. And so you can substitute paying somebody to do it for getting donations in.
Right. Yeah, Vernon, I'm very open to that. I'm doing that in many different ways, working on strategic plans.
Yeah.
So yes, that's, again, basically two points to asking for but is, again, just because from an optic standpoint, and I have to, from an audit standpoint, answer to people at the state level and regionally. So thank you for doing this. And then just, I think it makes sense to have discussions, not only just the early childhood council, but other groups that have different fiscal years and having policies in place. And I think that's not a bad thing to do, and I'm happy to be a part of that, would like to be a part of that. And then just, again, I don't think it's this group, but just continuing to educate people on what we do and the importance of the work done in the community. So thank you again for that
Education,
support.
what avenue are you looking at reaching out? The training part, getting them to understand.
Well, the DOLA grant will help because I think doing a needs assessment, like really doing a needs assessment versus just surveys here and there, will help educate the community on this is, to really dig into some of those numbers that the Children's Campaign presented to you guys on and what that means. Like I had a couple of people come and ask me and I'm like, okay, I need to educate better about this, that they thought, well, yeah, so I'm gonna pick one number, for example, 40% of children born in Custer County were born into a situation where the mother didn't receive prenatal care. And they thought that's really high, and of course that's high because the Amish don't receive prenatal care. Well, those numbers, the Amish don't report that, so that number does not include them, and actually if it did include them, sadly the number would probably be 90%.
Right.
So it just made me understand, like, okay, and maybe it would behoove us to try and get information from the Amish on what the cost of XYZ here is in Custer County. But that, I need people to help me. I need people that are experts, just like the housing needs assessment that was just done. And not just childcare slots, but early childhood supports. So that will help. And then Lucas is a part of this too, with the commissioner that I report to, that I'm putting together a team to do a strategic plan on really what, based on the needs that we did, or the numbers and the data we discovered, okay, what can we do with this? What is best for Custer County? What can we do locally? One example, and I shared this with somebody that just didn't know and maybe was kind of a naysayer, that we have 42, I don't know, I'm pulling the number, churches here. And he asked me,
42.
I don't know.
I think it's 36,
Okay,
actually.
36.
Is it really?
So we have 36 churches here, and they're like specific to childcare. Do any of them offer childcare? And I was like, I'm sure some of them do on the days of service, but what is the opportunity there to expand that to outside of that? The other thing that, and again, just goes to the education piece, not to get on the tangent of the ballot initiative, but just things I've heard and read and people have asked. I encourage them to come and ask me about family childcare home. Like, well, why don't we do that? That is something that I am very much tasked to do, is to expand childcare homes. We hosted a breakfast, a free brunch, and we sent flyers out to not a flyer, a nice mailer to every single person in the county. And we had Willeen Squire and Robin Gady, our two home providers at the time, come and sit and be willing to teach you and show you, and there's funds available to help get that started. Not one person showed up. So we're doing that type of work. I don't know if the community
Yeah, I
knows
found that out
that,
when I was campaigning.
but, so I'm
Question.
continuing to do that kind of work.
But you're working on that, so your timeline would be your fiscal year, not the calendar year.
The needs assessment and, or
Just,
just that, yes, it's
your
not gonna
window of
happen by
opportunity.
December 31st, no.
I'm just saying is that you're working off of your fiscal year, so it'd be June.
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
so,
thank you.
thank you. Vernon, you look deep in thought.
Just thinking, just trying to figure things out.
We could do a leaflet drop from, if you had your airplane again, we'll just throw them out.
And we'll certainly do that again.
I love that.
World
War II inflation campaign.
I mean,
Evacuate.
we're still gonna do the work on, a family childcare home and what does that look like? And the work, Lucas again knows this, the work that we're trying to do with the committee, the Affordable Workforce Housing Committee, that respectively they're saying, okay, with this particular project, for example, in Silver Cliff, one of the homes would be as, deemed or starred to be a family childcare home. So that's practical work, and I think that could be sustainable here in Custer County. But that's really where my mindset is and the council's mindset is, and that goes to your point, Paul, about just continuing to educate the community, and your point, Bill, about, if the council went away, who and how would this work continue, and that kind of thing.
How long has it been around?
This October was 8 years. It was formed in October of 2017. by the state. And then I don't know if you remember this, but the first year, I think maybe year and a half, it was under the school district, and then they moved it to the county. But I mean, we do work. You guys weren't here, but you were here, Bill, as a commissioner. I mean, I went and wrote or applied for a grant that brought in $100,000 during COVID, and we helped Valley Assisted, and so you know, we do a lot of work for the community. I'm preaching to the choir.
Pull us in, okay.
But I don't have anything else.
Okay, so do you have any questions about the budget now that you do, how he's tracking it?
No, because I know that in how I track mine, and then and it's based on the template that I get from the state, goes into more detail than what is needed at the county level. But no, I feel like, I mean, Vernon and I have had many conversations. I know, I mean, the auditors they're nice. They say thank you
Things
for.
are straightening up. CIC's been a pain getting everybody on board.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, it's gonna have to change again, because it's not gonna last long, CIC itself.
And I have, you know, I mean, I'll come to Vernon and ask
Another
him,
system.
like, questions. You know, we did that. I don't know, I feel, hopefully I'm
Nice to see
helpful in
open
that way.
communication.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Just this conversation has been great. I mean, I would like to add a rent line to your budget.
Okay.
I'd like to add a data processing line.
Okay.
It's gonna help with communication and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Break out basically just identify a few more areas that we can do a little better coding for us.
Okay. And I'm happy,
I'd love to
especially.
see you in an office, a county office, so we don't have to spend $6,000 a year someplace else.
Right.
So.
That and the 900 per season.
I mean, yeah, those were just examples I get,
We
but I'd be
just-
happy to show you the budget, Vernon, and I think I have shown this to you,
Yes.
but,
I think I have a copy of it. I love your spreadsheet.
so,
One way to get an office space is to get the darn county building built that has the courthouse moved, so we can open up the building offices in the courthouse today. Which is our plan. We're not gonna tear that building down.
Yeah, it'd be great to spend $12 million to get 3 more offices.
Yeah, get 3 new offices right then, and that's how they'll look at it. But nobody wants to pay taxes.
That's how I have to look at it.
$3,000 or.
That's true.
It is, it's a bum deal, we're gonna spend $12 million, and we're gonna get 3 offices.
Yeah.
When we need
All of them.
all of them.
Yeah, we didn't entirely.
We need all of them.
Cause we're also renting for public health, we're also renting, DHS is out of their state guidelines for their,
Or they are, that they're really not big enough.
yeah,
Right.
yes.
I mean, we're just getting by.
in a perfect world where we had a lot of money, you should see the facility that Mesa County built for their DHS, their public health, and their early
Those
childhood.
Mesa County bums are always building stuff.
It's
They're-
unbelievable, it is
They got
so
some-
nice.
And
It
public
is
health-
so
You ought to
nice.
see, you ought to see the commissioner's office in Mesa County.
I believe it,
It's amazing.
yeah.
They're like
Nah, you get spoiled.
You'd be the head admin with 3 admins
There you
underneath
go.
you.
I mean, my jaw was on the floor. I was like,
That's a
oh my
fact.
God.
It's just amazing. They got conference rooms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
training
Offices are
facilities.
big as this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
indulging me with this, and I'm happy to work with you, Vernon, more, and I will, I have my meeting with the DOLA person tomorrow.
Okay.
So I will, I'll have a little bit more context, but there's one form I need, I can't remember if I need Virginia to sign it or not. It has to do with the banking information. But I'll keep you in the loop about what the meeting actually says. And I'm still trying to hear back. I applied to LMR for another $20,000 to support that work. And I'm still in conversation. I did finally talk to Buell and clarified. So for example, I got fully funded. My ask was 20,000 with DOLA. I got fully funded, but I don't know where Buell was behind the scenes, because they were helping fund, or helping DOLA make sure that, because only 4 of us applied to this grant.
Really?
So all of us got
Got what you
something, and they, well, I think they only had 75,000 total, and I think the ask of the 4 people was like 140 total. So I think a
Everybody got a
foundation
piece of
came
the
in
pie.
and
And helped
basically said.
distribute. Did the rest,
everybody's-
yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So we're supposed to have a meeting next week or the week after with Jeannie Stanek. She's the CFO for the Department of Early Childhood, once the governor's budget is released, to kind of give us an idea on what the department's
Do we have a
thoughts
date
are
on
and what
that?
they're asking. They actually said it might be dropped early, meaning on the 30th or 31st. And then I think we'll have a meeting with them on Friday, November, is that 7th? Whatever that, a week from Friday.
Yeah,
So we'll have some, not full clarity, but at least an idea on what they're
Very good.
thinking at the department level. And again, we keep asking them, like,
Thanks
if
for
you're
making
asking
us-
us for cuts, where are your cuts at the state level?
thanks
Yeah.
for making us look good. Okay.